Hey everybody, this is Dominic D'Angelo. I am now of SE Scoops. I said it right, SE Scoops. And I am here today on the Premier Streaming Network if you're listening or watching on a Friday. And it is episode 23 of One of a Kind with RVD. It rhymes. And I'm here with none other than the Hall of Famer himself, Mr. Rob Van Dam. Looking good in the tie-dye. Rob, it's good to see you, man.
Yeah, this is tie-dye, Michael Hayes.
Right, just so you know, Michael. Dude, that's tie-dye.
This was a gift from somebody at the 420 Expo in New Jersey, and I don't have another shirt like it.
I like it, man. I like it.
Reminds me of the Dudleys. I don't know why, but Spike Dudley in particular. You know, they all want it. But,
right. What did you overall think of the Dudley Boy gimmick when it first was kind of introduced to you and you first saw it firsthand, kind of like that? Was it? I thought it was so bizarre, but it's so cool.
Yeah, well, so this was the time, I was like real defensive about the business and thought that silly gimmicks took away from the credibility and stuff. So I was a little defensive about the characters. Bubba would, I don't know. I mean, it was like it had to grow on me, like kind of like seeing Bubba used to have this gimmick where he would stutter and couldn't say a word.
Yeah,
and that was the deal. He would say, fucking happy 4-2. And someone would hit him or something, and he'd say 20 or something like that. And I just back in my competitive state of mind, I would probably just roll my eyes at it or whatever. But then when somebody told me that the gimmick has like a history, and that the Dudley Boyz are all like the bastard kids of the same mom that was a rat back in the day. They used to fuck wrestlers, and then it kind of became funny that there was. I didn't know about. Did you know about all that?
I didn't know it was a rat. That makes it better.
Yeah, so I don't know the whole story, but that did make it a lot more entertaining that somebody went through, and thought about all that, and that was how we got the Dudley Boyz and how the family was so eclectic.
Right. And I thought it was so funny and cool too. Like, obviously when you see it, it's like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. But like when you see them work in the ring and stuff like that, they wrestle legitimate and fight legitimate. And then you have Spike Dudley, who's like this scrappy, wild fucking like guy that gets thrown around like a lawn dart, and it just added such a wild dynamic to it. It was fun at ECW, and then it was even fun too in WWE when they brought it over. And I remember too, Bubba still kept the stuttering gimmick when he came over to WWE, and then they got rid of it. Yeah, just for a little bit. It wasn't long that he had it for, but then they got rid of it. So
yeah, it's different, now that I think about it. But that was, it was cool when Spike was like the outcast of the Dudley Boyz too. So they would beat the shit out of him, and
they beat the shit out, right?
The brother didn't want to go along with what the other brothers were doing.
Yeah. It's great stuff. Well, hey, I'm wearing this shirt too, and I remember you wore this, I think, on the Jerry Lynn episode. Shad Gaspard shirt, is that the one you have too?
Yeah, I have a couple of them, and that's one of them.
Yeah. I love this shirt. Did you know Shad a lot before you passed?
Yeah, I knew him. I'd see him quite a bit. Really, really good guy. Of course, it sucked really bad when he passed, and the way that he passed, was really, really a sad time for everybody. I'm trying to think about like where I met him. I can't remember. I don't remember exactly where I met him and where all we crossed paths. I remember he was the one that hooked me up with Cameo. I remember that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we were at a comic convention in LA, and he was there with his partner and talking about, dude, it's like celebrity voicemail only. It's like it's better. Like these guys are really pushing it. Like they're more in tune, with culture and you can do both. It's not exclusive, and I was like, I don't know, and they put a guy on the phone to talk to me or whatever that was wanted to pick me up as a client. So I remember that. Good guy,
Great guy. He was when I first started at WrestleZone, and I was just a novice at all this stuff, and not like kind of just amateur at a lot of it when it came into it. He was like the really first wrestler I connected with in a lot of ways. Like he reached out to me or to WrestleZone in some capacity about like the script he was writing about wrestlers and stuff like that. He had like a show he was playing or a movie, and I remember promoting it. I never got to interview him. I did get to meet him though in New York at Walleye Mania, and so that was cool. But yeah, it was always such a nice dude, very outgoing and stuff. And yeah, the way he passed, I mean, it was heroic, but it's very sad, obviously.
Yeah. And for anyone who doesn't know, he drowned and was trying to save his son from drowning, and kind of sacrificed himself the way the story goes. So it's really, really touching. He had a lot of ambition, a lot of aspirations. He was one of those hustlers that's always getting involved in different things, waiting for which we all are, but some more than others, to an extent, where it's always just trying to find the right project to be a part of, which in our business, that's how it works. You can be like part of like one thing that really takes off and be very rewarding. And I just remember him, with different things. One time it was these little squishy like little wrestle buddies, and he was like, dude, yeah, they want to make one of you too. It's like really cool, man. And it was like little wrestle buddies, like they weren't called Squishmallows back then, but and I remember saying, I'll talk to the guy, I mean, where are they distributed? Am I just getting them made, or is this guy distributing them too? And I just remember like he had the ambition to always have his ear open and neck out there to pick up on different things like that. And every once in a while, something big will come through, and all the boys hook each other up. Like, dude, are you part of the new video game yet?
Yeah.
Bro, yeah.
No, he was great, and I remember, just to him sending me like the first draft of one of his scripts and stuff like that for the pilot episode and stuff, and it was just really cool. Like he was a go-getter about everything and stuff like that, and wasn't afraid to kind of do that kind of stuff and put himself out there. And then hearing the stories about him and how much, how helpful he was to other people, it was sad. It was very sad, but yeah, I mean, like such a great guy. Very appreciative that I got to know him just a little bit too. So I thought it was cool when I saw you wear that shirt, and I was like, I got to find mine. I had it somewhere, and I finally found it yesterday. So I was like, I'm going to wear it. So.
Yeah. Cool,
man. So obviously there's some big news for you. You were announced on AEW coming back to, now that we talked about it too, a city that you very much are associated with in Philadelphia. How did this all come about, Rob? Can you give us any details? Is it just another phone call and be like, hey, we would love to have you in Philly?
Well, something like that, at least for half of the equation. I'm always documenting my synchronicities and stuff. This was a pretty good one. I went to the eye doctor the other day to get my eyes tested, just my annual prescription eye exam. Got a message. I got a phone call I picked up because it was from the big company, and had a little talk. Got officially unbooked from Philly. And then about 30 minutes later, I got another message, got officially rebooked in Philly from another company. So I was like, that was pretty good. In the meantime, I'm just reading letters, A, E, and it happened like when I got there and before I left, before I even had a chance to even think about the first message. And so that's just the universe doing what it does, which is pretty awesome. And the reason I don't want to put too much detail on that is because word got out when I said before that I was unbooked, and it kind of worked against me because then I had someone inside working on trying to do some damage repair, and then I got people on Twitter saying, let's pass this around, man. We need RVD rebooked. And I was like trying to, not give that much attention to it because I had someone working on it. But either way, different dates, same town. And the one is becoming more and more valuable than the other one to me each time anyway. So here it is. You know, I didn't know till I saw the flyer yesterday that I'll be teaming with Hook again. So that's awesome. I know that people have really wanted to see that, and they enjoyed the tag team, and as did I. Set up last time, so hopefully Daddy will be there this time too, and I'll be able to see Taz, and maybe Taz will give me some pointers.
Yeah. Use some of the pose pointers, which you used to do.
Yeah, right. Get the frown down. It's not that much of a frown. It's got to be natural.
Come on,
just
come on, Rob, you know.
Don't force it.
Gotta be natural. Well,
yeah, pretty excited, dude. Pretty
Mhm.
stoked. Yeah, coming up just in a few days. So
Right? It's crazy. And I mean, like Philadelphia. When was the last time you were in Philly? Oh, not too long ago, was it?
Yeah, not that long ago. I'm at that airport Marriott. It seems like every couple of weeks now. It seems like I remember saying that last time I was there. I was like, dude, I was just here, and well, I guess the last time would have been when I went to Hamburg. I went through Philly and stayed there.
Okay, yeah,
so, yeah, and
that's
then a few weeks before that, for some reason, I was also in the area. But yeah, I mean, if I'm in Jersey or New York, but yeah, it's possible to go through Philly. But in Philly itself, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it was that long ago. The last time I remember being in the ECW arena, no, I think I've been there once since then. But anyway, I know I was there last December on my birthday for the big show when I got inducted and I wrestled Rhino. I think I've been there once since then. I feel like I have.
I think you were there earlier this year at some point.
Yeah, for something. But anyway, I'm glad to be back. Let's fucking let's pick the ticket sales up and show them how much Philly loves RVD. That would just be awesome.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. It's I know too. I'm trying to think what else is happening that day. Well, yeah, I mean, obviously Taz will be there because he's on commentary and stuff, so he will be there. What also got announced, I don't know if you happen to see this, but Sting yesterday announced that he will finally retire coming up here in 2024. So I think it's like going to be February or March, I can't remember either way, but at AEW Revolution, that's actually where he debuted at too for AEW, and now he's going to retire. So I keep forgetting to ask you, have you crossed paths with Sting in AEW at all backstage? Was he ever there?
I think that I said hi to him one time in passing. I'm pretty sure, just real quick, like just passing one time. Like I hadn't talked to him much or anything, but I'm pretty sure that Katie and I walked by him, did a quick little hello. I think that happened maybe the first night that I was there. Seems like.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I've never seen a lot of them though. That's for sure. And has he retired before, or is this the first time?
This is the first time, I think. Yeah, because they thought his career was over in WWE because after the match he had with Seth Rollins, they thought he had some spine issues, I think, and stuff like that. And so everybody kind of thought he was done. But when he showed up in AEW, it kind of all picked back up again, And
he just had the kind of issues where he can't work for WWE anymore.
Yeah. That kind of thing.
Just the guys.
Right. But
a career somewhere else, but they're done there because they're hurt.
Yeah. And so it's been. I know we talked about it before. He's been doing some wild stuff, but it's been a real renaissance with him. And AEW's Tony Khan's done a really, really good job at showcasing, the kind of star he is and stuff like that. So,
that's cool.
So it's been pretty cool. Tony Khan wanted to see him go as long. He wanted him to go as long as he wanted to, and because Tony said he would keep him there forever if he wanted to keep wrestling. So, so it'll be pretty cool. I'm sure they'll give him a great send off.
I'll put him out.
Yeah, there you go.
Put him out to the pastures. Why not?
What a way to end it. AEW Revolution, RVD, and Sting. I would like that.
Yeah. The way that I remember when we did the first Hall of Fame for TNA Impact and inducted Sting, he gave his speech. He told everybody, that he thought he was done, that he was retired already, and that Dixie Carter's husband, called, "Hey man, we got this thing, we really need you." And he was like, no, I'm done, hey, it's just pay-per-view, like once a month or something, boom, 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 or once a week, whatever they had. I think I'm done. But what about we give you this much money? Okay, I could do it for a little bit. And then when it ran out, okay, thanks, it's been good. No, we need you a little longer. I think I'm done. What about we give you this much money? Well, I guess I'll last a little bit longer. That's what I remember from the speech that Sting gave when he got inducted in the Hall of Fame. That they kept saying, "Well, just another 6 months or another 12 months. All right, well, we'll pay you this much." And we'd say, "Well, I guess I keep going." And that was back in 2009 or 2010.
Right, it was like forever.
I guess. Yeah. So that's why I didn't know if he'd already retired or not, but I know it's been on his mind for a while.
Right, and then on top of it too, it's like he was wrestling like sometimes on occasion once a month for AEW, it would seem, and he'd be in tag action and doing. And dude, he was like doing some cool ass shit. Like it was like, damn, like stuff you'd never have seen Sting do before, from jumping off stages and all that shit. I'm like, holy fuck.
Good for him. That's awesome to be able to extend the career like that and have control over your own destiny.
Right. You know about that. Sweet, man. Yeah, you and Sting Revolution. Let's make it happen. Let's get something going. Cool. So we'll read a little feedback here. Let's see here. These are all taken from the YouTube. So if you want to give your feedback on the shows and stuff like that, be sure to make comments and like and share on the YouTube. Go to RVD Pod right above me, and there's plenty of clips that YouTube Chris puts up there. And we got full episodes up there too, so check those out. But yeah, if you want to give feedback, pop it in the comment section down there, and we'll try to read some of them here, at least the good ones. So let's take a look here. Oh, here's a good one. Tad1 says, "Wow, these two have great chemistry." Jerry Seinfeld eye roll. So he's having a little sarcasm there. So he doesn't think we have great chemistry, Rob. So.
It's another one of your fans, huh?
Another one of the fans going on. Let's see here. Okay, Rob, I wanted to get your thoughts on this. Mustafa1611 says, "Rob is an NT personality / temperament. Look up Myers-Briggs. Most people are SP and SJ. Very few are NT or NF. The S's are like 90s of people. The N's are like 10% of population." Rob, do you know anything about the Myers-Briggs personality test?
I have no idea.
I got no clue either. I was intrigued though. I might have to take a look and see how it all kind of lays out, because I was like, I've heard of it before, but I never done any tests or research on it. So
that comment needs a little education with it.
Yes, it does. Yeah, he needs to send us a YouTube link to kind of watch and get acclimated to all those. I don't get it. Here's a funny one. So at the end, we were talking about what was, I think, video games, and E Garrett 01 says they just rip. So they're talking about you were talking about something at the end of the clip here about video games or something. They just rip off my outfit, my ponytail, and everything, and call me. And so apparently on the Fire Pro Wrestling video game, they made a character of you, and you're called Rog Random on there. Rog Random. So those are the Japanese wrestling video games, and that
was the first game that I was on, Super Fire Pro Wrestling.
Really?
Yep. And they didn't call me Rob Van Dam, but they had me on, and we used to play that game, and Sabu would be. He would have his Winnebago on the road during the ECW days, like 96, 97, 98. And we'd be out in the Winnebago playing that video game on the TV and playing ourselves. And I remember one time Bam Bam Bigelow came out to the Winnebago, but we were hanging out there smoking or whatever. And we showed him the game, and I played him, and he was Bam Bam, and I was Rog Random.
Rog Random.
Yeah. But that was the very first game that I remember that I found myself on.
Well, it's a tough game to play, actually. Like I know that I remember playing it as a kid and stuff like that on my buddy's computer, and it was
Okay.
like the grappling system and all that shit was a little difficult to get acclimated with, and so
I don't really
um,
remember.
no, but yeah, they had a lot of. I think they had. Now, was Sabu a legitimate character on there, or did they give him a fake name too?
I think they gave him a fake name too.
Okay.
Pretty sure. Yeah, we didn't
Yeah.
get paid for it.
Right. Other feedback. This was interesting. We talked about the X-Men, and I was not unaware of this. SM Key Sound 1830 says, fun fact about Gambit, one of his powers was telepathic immunity, which makes him have the power to read your mind, and that's why he used poker cards as ninja stars. I had no idea about that. I just thought he had kinetic energy and could throw it and it explode, and a little bit of charm, but I didn't know that. How about that? I after we talked about the X-Men, I was like, dude, I want to go watch those movies again. At least a couple of them. So
Pretty awesome. I don't know if I've seen them all. I think I've seen them all, but I don't know. Avengers.
there's some bad ones in the mix there, but the ones with Nightcrawler, like 2 is awesome. 2's probably the best one, I would say. That's the one that features Nightcrawler. And then Days of Future Past is a really good one too. But it's a hit and miss sometimes with the X-Men movies, but there's some.
I remember one time hunting down, I guess it was an X-Men issue, because that was the name of the story, Days of Future Past.
Mm-hmm.
And Ghost Rider was just in a cameo in it. But that was how obsessive of a collector I was. I wanted, even if it was a one-panel cameo where they were remembering a battle from the past, talking about it, and it showed it, I would want to track that down just to have that for my collection. And I'll always remember that Days of Future Past. That was the storyline for, I guess it must have been X-Men, but in my mind, I'm thinking it was a Fantastic Four. There was one where he's on the screen on the monitor, Ghost Rider, and they're just talking about him, and they're just monitoring action of what's going on around the world or something, and I had to hunt that one down too.
Yeah, Days of Future Past is a great storyline. I have the graphic novel of it. I don't think I've actually read it, but I know the kind of the story arc with it all and stuff like that. But yeah, that's a pretty awesome. I didn't know Ghost Rider was kind of involved in that or made a cameo. But I love how Marvel does that, and comic books in general do that too with cameos.
Yeah.
And all. Is there a favorite story arc you kind of have for Ghost Rider that you liked a lot, or that really captivated you to kind of read more about him?
Man, probably. I mean, it was so long ago that it's hard to remember, but I remember the deeper it got into his past, the more real it seemed to make it. It added depth. So Johnny Blaze was the human host, and then a whole nother series, it's a different dude, Danny Ketch, and then they ended up tying them in together. And that was one of my favorite times when they tied them in together, made them related. It talked about the spirits past and how it had all these different human hosts before coming to Johnny Blaze. And then they differentiated Zarathos, the Johnny Blaze spirit, from the one that Danny Ketch had. And that was weird because obviously they were the same, but there was a lot going on back then. I remember like Nightmare was part of it. Nightmare was a heel, and he would get in the brain and into all these memories and like expose all this stuff that we didn't know. Like after decades of being Ghost Rider fans, all of a sudden we're learning about the relationship between this hellspawn demon and the ruler of the underworld himself, and just all that stuff was really cool. I liked the Carnival of Freaks, Circus of Freaks, I think it might have been called. And I liked it when he would fight Mephisto and be tied into that storyline of his entrapment and his imprisonment, him meeting the spirit, because that's really what he was all about.
Yeah. I know. I like Mephisto. That was his top adversary, was it? If he had one.
Yeah. So like when it first started out, the Ghost Rider, it was Satan. Like the very, very first ones in the 70s. And then eventually they went and retold it and made that Mephisto instead of Satan. But like in Ghost Rider #9, it's actually Satan. That was a Marvel character. Yeah. And I guess that wasn't politically correct or something. And then Then they made it Mephisto, and then they started, always making you wonder, but did that really happen, or was that another imposter? And there's always things like that seem to somehow add depth if you made it through it. So I don't know. I liked it. I liked some of his other counterparts. Vengeance was another spirit like him that was that he fought and sometimes teamed with, and was a different dude, different human host, bad cop, and I guess that's like the end of the first series. I think I was like really into it. There was like 81 issues, and I remember I found out from Scott Munster at school that they had ended it because I wasn't current, and I was like, "What?" And that dude, the Keeper of Souls, what was his name? He had like a crystal of souls, and it would suck your soul out, and then it would just be trapped in this little fucking thing you set on a table for eternity. And that's what happened to him at the end of his first series. But then they brought him back, and he had escaped and stuff. And so I thought that was cool. But they planned on doing him in. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. I gotta dive into that. I think I would really be into that kind of series.
It's been a while since I've looked at it, but it was, a big part of my childhood for sure.
Nice. So if I were to start at a certain point, what would you have a recommendation or anything?
Man, from what I remember, the first 81 issues was all Ghost Rider getting more and more power and becoming being apart from Johnny Blaze. Because at the first, he would look like Ghost Rider, but he could still talk like Johnny Blaze, and had his complete senses about him and all this. And, ooh, I'm a ghost. And try and scare people. And then towards the end, they were just fighting over who had control, and Ghost Rider wanted to just kill and punish, and Johnny Blaze was the voice of reason, trying to not let him escape because it was ruining his life and all that. And that was for me, that was a really interesting storyline, and for some reason that really hooked me in during that time when Ghost Rider was really getting his independence. And then eventually when Nightmare comes in, he teaches him about his own self and his own past, and he learns all kinds of shit that he never even knew. And boom, I was sold. I think I still have all of mine, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I wouldn't have sold those or whatever, even though I stopped buying them. And God, that would suck to start again and have to buy every appearance now. Because now I think there's been a female human host.
I'm sure there's.
Yeah, I know there was a car racer host, and they just done so much. Like when I was a kid, I reading those, trying to find other kids that were also interested in and knew the same books and storylines and stuff was hard enough. But to imagine they would have made these fucking $1 billion budget movies and brought all this stuff to real life, there's no way I could have even fathomed that. It's amazing. It's amazing how they've brought this whole world that we grew up in, this fantasy world, to mainstream through the movies and Marvel Studios. Fucking amazing.
I know. And it's like when you're a kid, and even I'm sure more so back in your days too, there was that certain label of like, oh, you're a nerd if you like comic books and stuff like that.
Sure.
And growing into it, it got a little bit more mainstream at my age. But even back then, you wouldn't even fathom necessarily like, oh man, these are going to be like mainstream where like the masses tune in and go to the movie theaters to see them and follow along. It's definitely was not expected, and when it happened, it just blew up, and it's a whole.
You could probably find a Spider-Man action figure at the department store.
Right.
People knew who he was, and he had a shitty TV series at the time, and and you could find a Superman action figure, but it wasn't based on probably a movie or maybe it could have been, but Superman could have been, not Spidey back then. But it was, you never would have imagined the whole aisle in the toy department is just filled with all these characters that are, some of them are so obscure you really have to follow the storylines to know who they are. And boom, there they are. They were valid enough to make multiple mass production identical figures of it and sell it to the masses. So pretty cool.
And like you look at a character like Iron Man, who was like popular for the Marvel universe, wasn't that popular. And then, once Robert Downey Jr. did the movie and everything like that, boom, it's just like major, big time. So yeah, man, I'm a big fan still. I got to dive back in. It's been a while since I've gotten back into comic books, but it's a fire has been lit in my. Let's see. Okay, so this week we got a new wrestler spotlight. This one I'm very excited for. We talked about him a little bit previously on initial. I think our very first episode. Our very first episode we did. Today we're gonna cover Kurt Angle, and so we're gonna take a look back at him and your history with him. I have a few clips too that I'll be playing, but I did want to start off and just ask, like, before you even met Kurt, were you kind of aware of who he was as a track record, like being an Olympian and a gold medalist or all that stuff? Or was that kind of just not so much in your realm too much on your radar?
Yeah, when he was an amateur status, I was not familiar with him.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't follow that world. And so it wasn't until he was in the pros that I became familiar with him.
Okay. And so let me see here. Where did I want to start off with too on this? Is that
Retreat.
So on October 26, 1996, Angle attended the Extreme Championship Wrestling event High Incident, and at the urging of fellow Pittsburgh native Shane Douglas. He gave an in-ring interview and provided guest commentary during a match between Taz and Little Guido, but left the building after Raven attached Sandman to a cross using barbed wire. Angle, shocked by the controversial imagery and afraid that his career prospects were going to be damaged if he was associated with the incident, threatened to sue ECW owner Paul Heyman if he was shown on television in the same broadcast as the stunt. Do you remember meeting Kurt at this juncture?
I don't. Like, I kind of remember him being there. I don't remember actually shaking his hand and meeting him specifically.
Okay, well, Kurt's got a pretty damn good memory, so he remembers a lot of different stuff. And so on the pod, I have a clip from his podcast, The Angle Show, the Kurt Angle Show, where he talks about meeting you for the first time. So we'll play it here real quick.
Meeting Rob, very nice, very friendly, went up and introduced himself to me. And what I remembered about Rob the most was him and Jerry Lynn had a banger of a match. I mean, this match was incredible. And he stuck out to me. He was above everybody else on that roster. And I'm not taking anything away from Taz, but RVD seemed to be the guy that really started up that night and had the best match of the night. The guy is not trying.
So there you go. Oh, wait. Oh, that was it. More of it.
Political. He's not going to be talking about people behind their backs. He's not a backstabber. You know who he is. He shows who he is every day. I mean, he's Rob Van Dam. He tells it like it is, and he's just a laid back dude. So I knew he would mesh well with the WWE.
So yeah. So you left a pretty good first impression on him, Rob.
Good.
So, and then going back to it, let's see here. Yeah, your first match together is actually in Chicago on Raw is War on August 13th, 2001, and it's a hardcore title match. Because this is the era of the 24/7 rule, actually happened to be Jeff Hardy ended up pinning you during the match at the end of the match when a lot of the invasion people. I actually have the match here. It only lasts 3 minutes, but it's a great match. I got
3-minute match.
Yep, 3-minute match. But you guys
we
really
are live
highlight
in Chicago, sold out here on Raw. Rob Van Dam and Kurt Angle.
How do you like wrestling in Chicago overall, Rob? Is that a good city for you?
Good city, man. Always has been. Yeah. Wrestling so many different venues in Chicago over the years.
Right? Yeah. And it's becoming more, too, just associated with wrestling, even more so with teams, too, even now.
Although it's my least favorite airport.
Is it? Oh. Well, which one, the O'Hara or the Midway?
O'Hara.
O'Hara, okay. I think Midway's so far away from everything, it seems. But yeah, O'Hara's a rough one.
Referee Charles Robinson.
Yep. Little H.
God bless him. Yeah. Good dude, man. He's been there so long.
I know he's still there too. It's crazy.
Yeah.
How cool was it too to have Paul Heyman on commentary at this point?
Pretty cool. I know he's got my best interest, you know.
Yeah, yeah. When you're first working with Kurt at this point, are you does he have a different feel being so polished as a wrestler and everything like that?
No.
Okay.
No, yeah, that's something that's amazing about him is that he adapted. He adapted so quick, and he's so good as a pro wrestler that he doesn't stand out as being something different than a pro wrestler.
Yeah, yeah.
Like he's fully committed to what he's doing, even though if he wants to, he can tie you in a knot, and take control or whatever. You don't get that feeling. At least I don't when I'm out there in the ring with him.
So
not any more than I would anybody else. Is what I'm saying.
Okay, so like at this point too, even though this is like your guys' first match together, he feels like a polished veteran at this point for the most part. Would you say?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. There's some pretty cool spots in this match. I liked the trick shot where he tripped you into the chair and stuff. I thought that was pretty cool.
A couple of my fans watching my match.
That's right. How much interaction did you get to have with Deborah? She wasn't there too long, I don't think, at this point. But
yeah, I don't think she was there a really long time. I just saw her recently somewhere. I guess in a convention. Really? Yeah, I just stuck out of my mind as being like really nice. Really nice to Katie too.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know where that was.
I always heard positive things about her.
They are fired up.
Right? They are. Oh, here comes the ECW guys. Hey, we're up in Stone Cold there. Mike Awesome, did he wash his hands?
Show him a chair, dude. Beside you. Oh, shit.
Oh, it's Jeff.
Uh-oh. Johnny snapping.
Oh, boy.
Hey. What the hell?
What the heck, Jeff?
There's evidence Jeff does have a win over me.
He does. But it's tainted because, I mean, you're wrestling Kurt here, too. So.
Why isn't Kurt roll Jeff up right now?
Yeah.
I'll be damned.
Oh, look at that.
He does have a victory over me after all.
How about that? Jeez. Well, there you go.
Sorry, Steve. Sorry, Deborah.
Let you guys down.
I'm sure I did.
Yeah. Well, so overall, like, then you guys would later compete at No Mercy. We talked about that and covered that a little bit beforehand in that triple threat match you had with Steve. Great match too, and just showed a lot of different styles that you guys had. You brought your unique style. Steve was kind of the brawler at that aspect. Kurt was the amateur wrestler going into that point. But going into it, overall, how do you feel with just Kurt, his career at this point? His comedic timing is so good. And I was pretty surprised to I think he revealed that he basically studied his lines. Like he was given a script, like word for word, and he would just be able to recognize that. But his comedic timing is very good. How did you guys kind of get along backstage at this juncture and stuff like that? You guys seem to kind of already form a pretty good, solid relationship for the most part, starting off early on.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think I always just liked him from what I can remember, and I think we just had mutual respect. You know, we didn't like ride together, I don't think, or room together or anything. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't, you know, we didn't like bond on super personal level. We just didn't have that much time to do it. But I've always liked him, and from working each other, it seems like we worked each other a lot. And you know, you always develop a certain relationship with somebody when you're in the ring with them night after night after night on the road, house shows and TV. And we did that and learned a lot about each other and developed a relationship through that, mostly outside of just, you know, common respect.
I think too, it's crazy too to kind of think that you know, you guys had these matches in like 2001 and stuff like that, but then later on, you guys didn't start competing against one another almost for like 5 years until like the new ECW kind of kicked off in a lot of ways, you know.
Yeah.
But how did you feel too, him going in? Well, before that, I actually wanted to play this clip too for you from the podcast. Talk about, you know, you being stiff and that talk about like that discussion. Is Rob stiff? Is he not? And Kurt kind of clears the whole air about that also. I thought this was a pretty cool clip.
Says he's stiffer.
Stiff all the time. You know, he made in every once in a while. He got you pretty good, you know, one match, and then 3 matches would go by and he might get you with another one. He wasn't known to be stiff all the time. I was actually more stiff than he was.
Here we
but
go.
I never heard any stories where guys got pissed off at him. And let me just tell you this, if they did get pissed off at him, he's a badass. Okay, he can fight. Okay, this kid's a tough son of a bitch. So I think a lot of guys knew that, and they weren't going to give him any trouble.
So he told her right there. He's like, he was stiffer than you were in a lot of ways. So
Yeah. Man, a story popped in my head and then it just disappeared. Let me see if that pops up. I thought of too many things at the same time there, but first I was gonna say, you know, I like working a snug style, and if someone else is snug with me too, and we have a snug match, you know, then it's good for both of us, you know. And I think that's probably, you know, what Kurt was saying. But when I first came into WWE and I got that hardcore title, you know, there was a lot of people getting busted open, it seemed like, and I was on a streak there. And so during that time, maybe some of the wrestlers might have narrated that as me being stiff, maybe because I was hitting them with the Van Daminator. They looked through the chair, bust them open, and it happened to Booker, happened to Raven with a trash can, but happened to Steve Austin, happened to Test, and during that time, you know, some of the people were complaining a little bit. Nobody that, I shouldn't say nobody that mattered, but when I say that, what I mean is I never got heat for it. People want to know that I never got heat for it. People talked shit, yes, but it wasn't, it was just people talking. There was not, you know, like, in fact, the opposite. One time, and I have told this story several times, but I was wrestling Kurt, and I don't know which of these matches it was, but it was back then when I had the hardcore title on TV, because I had him face down on the announcer's desk, and I dropped a leg on him, and when I did that, his chin got busted open right here on the well, just like mine the other day, but on the corner of the announcer's desk, and he was bleeding. And after the match, I walked by Vince because he was in Gorilla, and so I always feel bad when I bust somebody open unintentionally. You know, I mean, that's like, damn, you know, you don't want that to happen. usually.
Usually.
But I just said, I remember specifically, I said to Vince, I said, man, sorry, I busted your boy open. And he said, what? And I said, sorry. I don't know why I called him your boy, but that's the way I remember it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. Sorry about that. I busted your boy open with the leg drop down there. And he said, well, he'll learn to turn his head next time, won't he? And so I never got heat. But some of the people remember it differently because they remember the gossip that's going around on the dirt sheets or the internet or whatever. And after that particular match, that's the first time that I really remember his wife coming into the picture. Like if she was a character before that or if she was around, I guess I just don't remember, when Karen Jarrett was Karen Angle.
Yeah.
But after that particular busting him open, like the next time at TV, Kurt, at the beginning of the day, Kurt came up to me, hey man, hey, how's it going? I do. Hey man, I'm sorry about my wife. Because don't pay her no attention. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he goes, you don't even know. And I said, no, what? What are you talking about? I said, don't pay any attention. Because she opened her mouth doing an interview and said some stuff she shouldn't have. She had no business to say that, but just don't pay no attention. And I was like, oh, okay, and then I learned that she had done an interview. So maybe she was already talent if she was doing an interview. I can't remember, but from what I do remember, though, she said in the interview that RVD should go to Ohio Valley Wrestling and learn how to wrestle because I was hurting everybody,
Oh.
So,
So Karen, I don't think she didn't start as a talent. I don't think until TNA. So
okay,
I think
maybe she just did the interview as Kurt's wife. Maybe that was strange in itself, like. By her being just a wife and then opening her mouth about the business, about what she might not understand from our perspective or something. Because it seems like that's what Kurt was trying to explain. But
yeah, I'm sure he was, and obviously, like if you're the wife, you want to look out for your husband and stuff. But it's like that kind of aspect. Yeah, it's like it's probably.
She wasn't the only one that thought that either, So, but I love seeing her now, though.
Yeah, she's awesome.
She's awesome, and she's got such a great energy around her. Always, and she's always so nice too. Like goes out of her way. Yeah, super cool.
Super cool. There's been times where I was at Wrestle K last year and stuff like that, and just hung out with Jeff, her, and Cody, and everybody, and just a great family there. So it's really cool.
Maybe I'll see them Wednesday, huh?
Hey, that's right. Yep. You know what? That is Jeff's show. He's on there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I brought that thing for Cody last time. We didn't see him.
Yeah. You very well might see both of them. All of them.
Man, every time I do AEW, by the way, every single time I end up on a run right beforehand and coming in tired. And I thought this time was going to be different. Because, it was like the first time, I went out to the ring and challenged Jack Perry. And then between that and then the next Wednesday when we wrestled, I went to Oklahoma because I was booked at the Comic-Con. So
Tulsa,
right? I had to go there for over the weekend, and then come back. And then and this time, and then I can't remember what it was. Same thing last time. And then this time, I was thinking when they said the 25th, I was like, cool, I think I'm off till then. I'll actually be rested, come in feeling, 100%. And then I kept forgetting, but we're going to a wedding. So as of now, besides traveling early Sunday, having the wedding Saturday, no, I'm one day off. Sunday, wedding's Monday. But besides the early travel, now on Tuesday, I fly back to Vegas for a 2-hour turnaround at the Vegas airport and then leave for AEW. Like, not even time to come home.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and it's like after being gone for a couple of days to Luke Hawk, by the way. So congratulations, Luke. I hope you appreciate it, motherfucker.
No, so where's he getting married at?
In San Jose, California.
San Jose, okay. wow, how about that?
Yeah, so it just ends up. But I might look into some of. I looked at some flight options and that aren't going to work. But there's one more something I can check. But anyway, yeah. So that's the life of a wrestler, though. You know, you always, by the time you go out to the ring, you got to be as good as you're going to be. You know,
maybe what you can do
No
is
matter
have
what.
your gear underneath the suit that you wear for the wedding, and then just rip it right off like you're fucking like James Bond or whatever.
It's an option.
It's an option.
Yeah.
Get Tony Khan to you fly the private jet over there. You know, get that happening.
Get Luke to move his wedding earlier in the day so I can come home
Right.
Monday night instead of Tuesday afternoon or Tuesday
Hey, Luke,
morning.
can we make some adjustments here?
Yeah.
FYI. So what I wanted to touch upon with Kurt too, him being in the ECW brand, and you know, this is that when you become the champion and everything like that, and there's that real big groundswell to bring ECW back, and then here it is as a third brand, and incorporating Kurt into that. What did you think about that initially and everything like that? Him not being initially an ECW guy, him having the legitimacy of the, you know, amateur gold medalist background and what he's capable of. Was that pretty? Did you think it was a pretty cool added element to incorporate into the new ECW going forward at that point?
I did. I really did. I thought because of, like, just like you said, because he's legit, credible, and such a great talent anyway. You know, any of the brands would be happy to have him on there. But I loved that he was going to be there as a strong opponent for me. And you know, as soon as we were wrestling each other, I loved it because I considered him a top guy, main eventer, and I felt like I just wrapped myself up with my old ECW world, brother. You know what I mean? I'm indestructible. You're in my fucking house. I really did feel like that. You know, I felt like I was up to the challenge, and so I was glad that I had a really strong, credible opponent in Kurt and didn't have to like create an opponent out of somebody else and then try to make him mean as much when it comes to selling tickets, because that's not easy to do no matter how good of a match you give somebody. And like I said, I wanted Kurt to want to step up the intensity and bring up the fight a little bit, just like when I wrestled Bob Holly. Bob Holly was always so stiff. I was like excited because I knew that he was gonna bring it, and I knew that I was gonna bring it right back. And at that time, I was really excited about, you know, working at that kind of rate.
Right. So Bob Holly, you kind of felt the same way because he got incorporated in the ECW brand too, correct?
Yeah, the same way in a different way. You know, like both of those guys were very confident and could mull through or roll right through, however you want to say it, mull through, walk right through, a lesser opponent, beat the dog shit out of them, you know, take advantage of them and leave them looking like a piece of crap if they wanted to, you know.
Sure.
Both of those guys could, and I knew that about them, that they had that in them, and I just knew, you know, enough about myself to know that I wanted a reason to step it up, not step it down like I had been for the last 5 years, you know, since I joined WWE. Now that we were bringing ECW back, I felt like I was being released, like they were taking the chains off me, and I was able to really fight with passion that can't be faked. And so all of that going into those matches, I was so happy to have strong opponents to be able to have those matches with.
Right. And, you know, Kurt, I loved how they kind of changed his whole almost identity, because he was so known to be great at comedy and stuff like that and a great wrestler. But then they really embraced the fact that he was just like this wrestling badass, wore the mouth guard in, and kind of like made the most of that. And it really,
yeah, I mean, imagine in those same positions if I was wrestling against somebody that was I don't even want to name the names that I'm popping up in my head because I don't want to be rude, but some wrestlers that are more mid-card or younger, too much respect for me and the fact that they're afraid of me, you know, and then, you know, trying to draw like a competitive match out of that when they're really trying to please me instead of, you know, really get themselves over like these guys do. It just makes all the difference in the world. And another perspective I'll add, comparing the comedy Kurt, when you're talking about 2001, back in that time period, again, competitive spirit, and back then it felt at its strongest, the competitive, like watch your back, you know, fucking politics coming at me from every angle, and everyone trying to do something to me or with me that I don't want to do, looking out for myself. That whole time period was kind of nutty for me. But what I associate a lot of this time period with, when we talk about Kurt Angle's comedy, was that the fans loved it. But for me, like, the last thing I wanted to do was be in the ring getting sprayed with a hose full of milk.
Full of milk, right?
It wasn't fun for me.
No.
Like, looking at the big picture now, I see how, okay, yeah, that's entertaining. All these big wrestlers slipping and falling or whatever. But for me, I was just like, oh my God, this is why I didn't want to come to WWE. That's how I felt.
bet you thought that, yeah.
That's exactly how I felt at the time. You know, just so it felt very similar to singing for that November pay-per-view when we had to do the Romeo and Juliet.
Oh, fuck it. Is it the
West Side Story?
West Side Story for Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Did they put a wig on you for that too?
This month on pay-per-view. That was so like not me, and I felt so uncomfortable and was so like hating my life, you know, doing that. I was just faking, you know, like hoping everyone was singing that back. Just like I used to do in music class. Why do they make me sing in music class when I was a kid? Why do they make kids do shit that they're never going to have to do in real life ever again, unless they become a pro wrestler? Then, of course, you're going to have to sing.
You're going to have to sing it, like do a basic musical.
Yeah, but, you know, that for me, I associated with that kind of stuff where the pouting on my face was a shoot. And then comparing that to ECW, where, like I said, it was more like a contest of talents, you know, like boom, let's mesh it up together, do what we're here for, you know, like this is the reason that we're both in this industry, to show what we're going to show tonight. Boom.
Yeah. How did you feel too? Like, you guys were basically the two faces of the brand at that juncture too. Was that like, did you kind of feel like you guys were on the same page? Like, you were more competitive back in the 2001-ish area and stuff like that. Was there still that kind of air of competition, I guess? Or were you guys kind of more, hey, we're both a part of this and we're both making this brand going to work? Was it kind of more so in that regard? You kind of get what I'm saying there?
If I get what you're saying, I would say that it was a balance of both. There was definitely a lot of competition still, and there was still a lot of us getting ourselves over. I think that's what those of us do that get over. You know what I mean? Maybe some of that's lacking now, and there's too much of the other. Maybe, you know, teamwork to get the spots over. But I remember specifically some receipts, some tit for tat thrown, you know, with a little, oh yeah, let's see how you feel about this. You know, like I remember some specific moments in my head that Kurt probably doesn't remember because they didn't amount to anything, but in my mind they could have. You know what I mean? Like, where's this going? You know, like, you know, some stuff like that where either one of us could have taken offense to the other one saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing, and I'll just leave it at that.
There you go. Yeah. But that's the name of the game, though. And like, if you guys are like, you know, the top stars, there's a reason for that, and like the competitive aspect of that really puts that forward, I think, too. I could only imagine.
Yeah, it really is like a hybrid of entertainment and sports competition and athletes and big testosterone filled up muscle dudes and teamwork and egos, and there's so much that's all involved. I think that's what makes it such a phenomenal entity, that it is what it is, and there's not a whole lot of other stuff like it that captures all of those factors and into one. It's not just one or the other, like I think about if I wasn't happy with something that the direction they wanted my character to go in, or a promo that was suggested that I didn't want to, I don't talk like that, that's stupid, whatever, then they could just be like, well, just look at it like it's acting. But how are you going to look like it when it's acting when you're in charge of 99% of what your character does, and you're that character for
and you're
20,
you, yeah.
for decades, and then
Right.
it's like it's not all. So it's weird that there's all these different things thrown in together, and how it all balances out, and how certain people are able to navigate through those waters and certain people aren't.
Yeah, and it is crazy to kind of look at it in that light, because it's like you got the sports aspect of it. Obviously, like, stuff is predetermined and everything, but it's like there's that competitive nature. You have the blood flow going and the testosterone going in between that. Not only that, but you do have the entertainment and the almost the stage aspect of it all and the presentation aspect of it all. It's all those elements coming into play that make it such a fascinating, unique thing it is unlike anything else.
And just to even consider people's egos. You good, Jenna, babe?
Yes.
Okay, I can pause this if you need to be in the kitchen.
Yeah, if you need to.
No, I'm good, baby.
Let me know. Okay.
Thank you, baby.
Okay. Love you.
I love you more.
Just to consider throwing the ego into the equation, how many people do you think really want to lose?
Right. Yeah. I don't think there's a lot.
So usually when the finish is discussed or brought about or whatever, one person's going to be a little more pleased than the other one. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like there's like people don't even think about that. You know what I mean? But it's not like people set out. Sometimes it feels like the right thing to do, but that's with a lot of other supporting factors that would make that such. But on any given night, just to show up to work and be like, boom, especially you got your people there to see you, friends, family, whatever, boom, and then you get the news, boom, nobody's really going, fuck yeah, sweet, yeah, that's what I wanted, and there's a lot more thought going into it than that, but that really is that simple. That is a part of what your ego goes through. So I just want to throw that in there in case anyone listens never even thought about that.
Too, it's like, I'm sure as a talent too, when you get that kind of news, you're like, all right, well, if I'm going to lose, how am I going to get myself back into the position of like,
it's not even just about temporarily, like, oh, I don't want to be seen going down. It's not just about that. It's about the career. It's about the business and the money that you make. I mean, obviously, if you go through the business like Goldberg and go a couple of years undefeated or whatever and just keep winning and winning, guess what? You are going to make more money. That's more incentive to not want to lose,
right.
Because then you're going to be a bigger star. And it's like, but the flesh peddlers that you're dealing with, when they break it to you and stuff, then it's just like, it's a work, it's acting. Just do something to get the kid over, and it's like, Hey, we know what we're doing. But it's like you got to ignore certain feelings, and any wrestlers that are listening know that, and they know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I could.
I mean, sometimes it's just the wrong thing to do. Really, fucking, what is it? 1PW. Really, you brought me all the way in here to England to draw this house in London, and I had to put the local kid over. Like that's what some do is good business. When everyone here came to see RVD,
they came to see you. They didn't come to see the local guy.
You want to work again? You say after that? Well,
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
But then other times, it could just be like, especially like if you're in the company, like just as simple as that, you want to be Bill Goldberg, not the fucking Steve Lombardi. And no offense, Brooklyn brother.
Right. Well, Knuckleball Shorts, he's also known as. He was also doing that for a little bit. So
love him.
Yep. So you guys did work a match pretty early on too on television. You see that?
Lombardi?
Huh?
Me and Steve Lombardi?
Oh, you and Steve, yeah. You had all different types of gimmicks that you had to encounter with. No, with Kurt on ECW, defended the world title and stuff against him on television. It was a good match, and you got over clean against him. Do you think though this kind of happened too early ultimately? Because would you have liked to see you guys kind of almost like what you were talking about in a way with Mike Awesome is like you guys are on your own path and then you finally collide for this big match. Did that kind of come across your mind at all, if you remember anything like that? Or were you hoping to have like a longer term program basically with Kurt and the new ECW?
But you were saying that I defended the
yeah, so you defended the world the WWE title against him on television and you beat him clean. And Edge was in the crowd. At least I believe you were the champ at the time. Let me just make sure.
Well, it was a pretty quick title reign. I know that. I don't know.
Yeah, let me see here. I'll just make sure. I'm almost positive you did. But yeah, Edge was in the crowd. This match was longer than your first match you had with him. But it ended up but yeah, it was like the main event and it closed out the show. And then Edge speared you at the end of the match, stuff like that. And he was
okay.
This time. So
so I think, it could be looked at that way, but overall, I would think no, not too early, because we just started the third brand. And so, and just crowned me world champion. So we want to show what kind of champion I'm going to be, like, is it just going to be a quick transitional thing where it's a fluke and someone else is going to take the title? Boom. Kurt Angle, fucking great, like I said before, great, strong opponent, and then have a really good, strong, solid, kick-ass match to be able to show the people this is what the ECW main event matches are going to be like. The RVD ECW matches, wherever he is on the card, but he's main event right now. This is what to expect. And then to have me beat him, have me see me go over and be victorious is, to me, sounds like a pretty good intro towards my championship reign. At this point, I would say looks good. Looks like the belt means a lot to RVD. He's going to be fighting to stick up for it. He's a champion we can get behind. He talks a lot of shit, but boom, he's backing it up. He just beat Kurt Angle, who, anybody would be stoked to have a win over. Let's see what's next. I think it feels more like that than just too early. And also, I think Kurt, I kind of feel like he was too WWE to be a full-time ECW guy. I feel more like he was like borrowed to help us get a good strong push from the beginning.
Yeah, set a good precedent for like what people can expect moving forward with that stuff.
Yeah, here's what you can expect to see, and then take him away.
Yeah, because he wasn't there much longer after that. He left the company and then went on to TNA, and that was that for a good amount of time. What did you? you guys later crossed paths in TNA. How did you overall feel about what was your impression of Kurt in TNA at the time and stuff like that? He seemed to be pretty much a big primary focus for the promotion during that.
Yeah, so he was he was the guy inside that was allegedly getting paid X amount of dollars, and that gave this company down in Orlando credibility as another option, somewhere to go. So we all were talking about it. You know, Kurt's making X amount of dollars, and they only work like once every 2 weeks, or doing their TV like at Universal Studios. They're not even on the road. They don't even have to travel. They just go to the same place. And like, what? And so like everybody started talking about considering that an option. And when I talked to you, there was like, oh my God, when my contract runs up, I think I might talk to TNA. Like all of us were thinking that all of a sudden it's a viable option. And then when I went there, and they contacted me, and when I first did my money's talk with the guy that I had to negotiate with, and we're talking about this certain number. I was like, dude, come on, man. Everyone knows Kurt makes X amount of dollars. He was like, no, he doesn't. He goes, I can promise you and swear to you, like right now, like I know what he makes. He doesn't make that much. And I was like, are you serious? like everybody went by this number.
You're like, come on, you're fucking with me.
Yeah, which he could have been, who knows? But either way, it was just funny how something is considered fact, and then all of a sudden it's not.
So he set a pretty good precedent for TNA, because it was like, okay, this is another outlet for big stars to kind of go to. Not only that, then it kind of gives you a leverage you almost kind of move to kind of utilize in a lot of ways. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, him and then when they got the NWO guys down there, Nash and Hall, and then there was another. They're getting Y amount, Kurt was getting X amount. These guys are getting Y amount, and those were the numbers that everyone in the wrestling world. I don't know where they got them from, but we're all using them, saying, "Holy shit, you know what? When my contract's up at WWE, man." I'm gonna talk to them, man. That sounds fucking like Kurt's got a great down there. The Nash has a great, and it was a good deal anyway. When I went down there and shit, that was, people always ask about comparing the different the three different groups. From my perspective, and I always say ECW was the most fun for me. WWE made me the biggest star and the most money, and TNA was the easiest job that I had. In other words, the least amount of work for that money. And especially when I first went there and we were doing it once every 2 weeks at Universal Studios, that was cake, especially when you're getting off the road from WWE and you would have done 8 to 10 matches on an average in those same 2 weeks.
Well, so when you did go to TNA, how was it set up? Like, how many set of tapings did they do in one whole sitting? Like, if it was once every 2 weeks?
They would do 2 weeks worth.
Oh, okay. So, that's right. I do remember that now, because I remember that happening. Okay. And did you, when they started kind of touring a little bit, were you on that touring schedule too? I can't remember if you were.
I think so. I think so. So I went there in 2010. Mm-hmm. And then they were just started. They were doing the live shows. So now I'm thinking maybe they would do a live show and then they would record the next week's show. So I think every other show was live and every other show was recorded.
I think you're right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think.
And then right. Pretty soon, not real soon, but soon enough, they're talking about growing, wanting to get the brand out there by hitting the road, and me and Mike Weber, great guy. He was a producer there. I was working with him thinking we get the brand out there without getting us out there. It would be cheaper, but we're talking about brand recognition, trying to put our brand on different items, to have out there and shit like that. And I just remember like, hey, it was fun talk, but it never went anywhere. And pretty soon, boom, okay, we're gonna go up to North Carolina. We got a tour, we're gonna do that in between the next Florida loops, and then started being on the road the whole time that I was there for my 3 year, might have been 3.5 years. I'm not sure, because I remember for a while there they didn't produce the contract to extend it, and then I eventually just left and went to WWE, but I don't remember how long that lasted. But anyway, the whole time I was there, man, they were drawing like 900 people, and they seemed just fine with it. Like sometimes a little less, but it was almost always like the same, and it didn't seem like it mattered. And I still think they don't care. I don't know. I mean, that's a lot to say they don't care, but I feel like the whole time since I've heard of them, TNA, I feel like they've been rumored that they're going out of business next week. And just like cockroaches, they survive, they keep going, and they just keep marching forward and keep doing what they're doing. So I think that however they're surviving, I think that it's working for them and their present aspirations.
Yeah, it is pretty wild, because it's like, how many times were they at death's door basically, and you would feel like, okay, it's over now, and then boom, it's like Michael Myers, they're back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
so I don't think they're going anywhere, even if people watch them or not. I don't know.
Right. So Kurt ended up going back, I believe, to WWE in the GM role in 2016, I want to say, roughly. And then obviously he tagged with Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania against Triple H and Stephanie. But that was pretty much it for him as an active wrestler in a lot of ways, because he went into the Raw GM role. And I kind of want to get your perspective on this, Rob. He mentioned that he really wanted to go back and wrestle there. And that was, but Vince and wanted to put him in this GM role as a GM and an authority figure. And so he went along with it. But then he mentioned that doing that really diminished his, I guess, in-ring ability to continue wrestling. And it kind of quickened his retirement more so. Do you think, I know everybody's body is different and stuff like that, but could you kind of understand that maybe with Kurt, that happening with Kurt in that perspective of what, like him not being able to wrestle and just being in a GM, persona role kind of thing like that, kind of quicken his aspect of not wrestling and kind of diminishing his athletic ability at that point in time?
Yeah, I can see it. That's the rule of thumb has always been that time off is a wrestler's worst nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
Old expression that I feel like, just like in many areas, I feel like I am an exception to that, and I've always enjoyed time off. But enough time off, if you're sedimentary all the time, then you're going to look like it. You know what I mean? And if you aren't in wrestling condition for a long time, then of course, just like conditioning with anything, most GMs probably don't work out like a professional athlete either. You know what I mean? So it's the whole lifestyle that you got to keep up. Otherwise, you lose it, no matter what it is. You know what I mean? If you're an archer, and you're good at shooting the bow and arrow, bam, and then try taking 2 years off of it, and then pick one up and see how good you are that day. You know what I mean? It's just anything. It's conditioning, and you condition your body, your mind, your body, and with things like this, you have to adjust your whole lifestyle to it to be able to do it.
Yeah. And it's like, if he was going in there with the mindset of like, okay, I want to wrestle and I want to be active on a consistent basis, like, and then you're just in that role of like, okay, I'm not wrestling. I'm on television, but I'm not wrestling.
Right.
Like,
maybe I could sleep in instead of hitting the gym today. I'm going to wear a suit anyway. No one's going to see me.
Yeah. It's just like, it contradicts it all in a lot of ways. And so, and plus the wear and tear he has taken on that, his body at that juncture too, even was just like, okay, like it's got to maybe speed up some of the process of that too. So
Most wrestlers that I've talked to, when they get on in their years, they say that when they stop, that's when everything catches up with them.
yeah,
I've said lots of times I feel better now than I did in my 40s because I had issues like with my back that went away. So I'm again exceptional in that area, but time off is a wrestler's worst enemy. I've always heard that from the guys. And then when they're not in the ring and then they're not as active, then they don't keep the motion. Then they lose not just their flexibility, but also, I mean, their tendons, everything will stiffen up, and everything on your body that bothers you, everything, it's always inflammation. If you haven't learned that yet, no matter what it is, from tennis elbow to an upset stomach to a headache, it's always inflammation. And that's the body's defense system. When it finds something wrong, boom, it flames up. And I think of it like your body's opening up a tent around the location so it can do construction work and shit. But now that tent is fucking up the flow of traffic and everything. It's right in the middle of the fucking busy way, and it's got to go. And so then you got to take care of that. And that's everything in the body. So there's all kinds of things to do to minimize and avoid inflammation, and they're all good to do no matter who you are or what you do. But if you're a pro wrestler and all of a sudden you stop moving around and stuff and just become sedimentary, or an athlete actually of any kind, someone that's really active and shit, but from all the bumps and stuff that we take, just sit, because it might feel good for the moment, and it's not going to feel good after a while, because everything will just stiffen up on you, and you'll be inflamed like a fucking
like Ghost Rider,
like a flaming Cheeto,
like a flaming Cheeto,
like Ghost Rider eating a flaming Cheeto.
Yeah, there you go. Well, plus you got to worry about traveling too, and riding on planes, and like all that kind of crap too that goes along with it.
That is worse for me than the match, like 9 out of 10 times. Yeah, I leave the match feeling great. Wow, man, cool. I didn't get hurt. I feel great tonight. And then by the time I get home the next day, after sitting on that uncomfortable airplane, sleeping like this, I'm always feeling it the next day.
Yeah, and I think I remember hearing Tommy Dreamer say something about how rough that is too after he's wrestling and flying back and all that stuff. Yikes. So Kurt ended up having his retirement match at WrestleMania, but it was in a losing effort against Baron Corbin. It was as a fan who loved Kurt Angle and everything like that, it was a disappointing send-off, and I know Kurt deserved a lot kind of better in that in a lot of ways. I just overall with Kurt's career and everything like that, and what I know I asked you this too, just his legacy overall in the business, like he's such an unprecedented talent that's like, from what he did from a background standpoint and everything like that with the Olympics, and then going into it and then just taking so naturally to pro wrestling, he's got to be like in consideration as one of the greatest to ever do it. Where do you kind of see him overall?
He's one of a kind. He's one of a kind, man. It's not easy to make that transition. Brock also did a great job transferring. Some of the guys, though, if you think of like Dan Severn, great wrestler. But then when it comes to pro wrestling and the colorful character that's marketable, that the promoters want to book and fans want to buy tickets to see and stuff, then it's not as natural for someone like Dan. A lot of MMA fighters in general have that same issue. It's a lot of them are wrestling fans, and those are the ones that are able to cross over because they probably imitated wrestling when they were thinking about working their way up with the amateur ranks anyway. So that goes a long way. Otherwise, a lot of what we do in wrestling is so opposite what you would do in a real shoot situation. It's because one is Like one is this. Let me explain it to you like this. I remember telling you were punching the heavy bag and you were wanting to get your punches quicker, and I said you got to relax your arms; they'll go quicker. You did. It worked, right?
It worked, and it's. I'm doing a lot better at it too. So
Right. So let's say me and you are gonna fight. Let's say it's a wrestling tournament, it's a street fight, it's a karate championship match in a tournament, whatever. But we both want to win this. Everything's on the line, right?
mm-hmm.
As soon as it starts, ideally, I would like to hit you so quick and so hidden that you don't see it, nobody sees it, and it incapacitates you.
Mm-hmm.
And you're done. And then I won, and you're done. With wrestling, that's the worst thing that can happen.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing. If nobody saw it, it didn't fucking happen. What the fuck was that? So now I want to hit you in such a way that everybody in the whole building sees it. You know what I mean? I want, so there's a lot of drama and showcasing put into it, into your very own agenda with how you move your body, how you punch, how you run, how you turn your head, every little thing. So Kurt and Brock, but Kurt, was very gifted in the fact that he was able to just cross right over and then be in a top spot and already be like so valuable as a wrestler in the professional industry and be able to back it up. Wrestling other top name guys, veterans, whatever, holding his own based on his reputation, which gave him credibility, and then the fact that he's so fucking good. It works. It works.
It is wild too, because you think about that. Yeah, a goal as an amateur wrestler and MMA fighter is boom, I want to end this as quick as possible, get the paycheck, get out of there. And so Kurt, he's got that regimented aspect of amateur wrestling and what you're supposed to do and everything like that, and being trained into that environment. For him to take to that and kind of readapt himself into the world of wrestling, where you make it dramatic and show it to the crowd and presentation to it all, it's pretty remarkable that he did it so quickly and then became one of the best at it. So.
I feel like you have to be a fan in order to adapt to it that much. Like you gotta, maybe he did some promos in the mirror, look in the mirror. Maybe it was a little more than that with his brothers or something. I don't know. I can't remember what the bio said about that, but usually that's the case. It sure does help a lot when you're imitating and mimicking the wrestlers as you're growing up.
And what's pretty neat is I help produce with the podcast, their podcast, and whenever he's talking about wrestling, he just knows it very well. And so there is that aspect of that passion that he has for it. It's pretty cool to see him and be able to do that and everything. So that's a fun one, Rob. A lot of fun. I wanted to do one Ask RVD because somebody asked about this a while ago. And I've been meaning to get to it, and I kept forgetting about it on every episode. So we'll ask this one, and then we'll wrap it all on up. Travis asked this. Please explain how you take the DDT so perfectly vertical. How do you bounce? It's amazing. Rob, you sell that DDT pretty bad. How did you come up with that, just the selling aspect of it? How did that all kind of formulate for you?
It didn't. It's just natural. There's no answer to that. It's just natural, the way that I deal with gravity. Someone gives me an enziguri kick, there's a certain way that I'm going to react to the kick and the impact of it hitting me. This drifting away from the DDT, but I do have a point here, because for me, a lot of it is natural. My move is natural. If you shoulder tackle me, I'm going to hit your shoulder, and I'm going to feel that. I'm going to feel that impact, and so are you. Bam, and that's going to knock me down. Boom, I hit the ground. I feel that too. I just got knocked down on the ground. There's so much going on there. And I see on the lower cards, you know, especially indie shows or whatever. Like sometimes I see like somebody coming with a clothesline and the person is like bumping before they even clothesline. Like, what are you reacting from?
Yeah.
Like you must have such a different agenda than me, because I'm taking that. I want to feel that fucking thing, boom, and then I'm reacting off of the impact of that. And that's how my timing is. If you grab me and DDT me, I mean, my head's going to go down with you, and then my body's going to follow. And so it's going to take like maybe a lawn dart pathway to get there. And that's because of the way that you're pulling my head down and makes my feet go up. And then I'm you know, we're engaged. We're riding down to the mat together, my head and your hip. And so that's the pathway of action. Like I think about stuff first and how I'm going to react. And that's, again, something that's wrong with the business today. But that's how I got trained, you know, by Sabu. It's like everything is the reaction off of the thing. If I throw a punch at you and it doesn't hit you, you know, then I don't expect your head to move. But if I can hit you, bam, then, you know, you're probably going to feel it. It's probably going to rock your head. Maybe you'll grab your jaw so everyone in the crowd knows, you know, what you're feeling, and then you come back. But it's weird how some people go through the movements, and for me, I experience the movements.
Mm-hmm. That's a great way to put it too. And I think as a younger fan, when I was growing up watching you guys and stuff, something that I don't think you get enough credit for is the little details of that aspect and stuff like that. I think
it's the mindset. It's the mindset. And I'm not perfect, you know, but
sure, yeah,
because I try risky stuff that sometimes takes me a little bit out of that neutron of just, you know, but that's the way I got trained, was just being in there, being close to the center of action, and everything else, you know, plays off of that nucleus. And it's like, it doesn't stop. It's a mindset. So that's there always.
No doubt. And I think something that stood out too, is even the little thing of you, when you hit your 5-star frog splash, you're in pain too after you do it. You show the pain. You react to that too. So, and I remember that really setting a bar of like, wow, I've never seen somebody really do that before. Like they did the offensive move and they're showing pain for it.
Right. Yeah. Man. It's all, that's the mindset that Sheik and Sabu got me into, to where when we're in there, when we're in the moment, we stay committed to the moment for the whole time we're out there. Like, I feel like even if I'm on the apron and we're in a tag match and I'm standing there, in my mind, some people are just looking at me, you know?
Yeah.
I don't understand how other performers don't have that perspective, because you can tell sometimes by the way that they're talking or picking their ass or blading or whatever, you can tell that they don't think anybody has their eyes on them right now. And I never, ever feel like that. From when I walk out through the curtain to when I walk back, I think some people are just watching me, not looking at what's going on in the match. And again, that's the mindset that I think is different.
No doubt. Great way to put it, Rob. Sweet. Well, cool. It's time to wrap it up. Rob, do you have an RVDology for us this week?
Yeah, I'll talk at you real quick for a minute.
Okay, cool. Judgment-wise, I realized this week, just overall, like how much I judge people. I do it a lot, and like
we all do,
right? And it's like very much from that initial aspect, and then also just moving forward. Like even when after, say, if I have that initial judgment of somebody, and I still kind of continue to judge in a way, and kind of me being more aware of that is like I want to give that more thought after the fact. You know what I mean? If that makes sense, where it's like, I don't want to, sure, we're all going to have those initial judgments, but I want to take more of a pause afterwards to kind of like not be as judgmental.
See what you do with the judgment.
Yes.
Do you punish them for it? Do you hold it against them? Do you just acknowledge it and let it go? You know, but you don't forget.
Yeah. Oh, I got to consider that. But yeah,
No.
it's definitely something.
You definitely don't forget, man. You get introduced to a group of friends, and right off the bat, you learn stuff about them the first night. You can become friends with them and be great friends for 3 years. You're still going to remember that first night when they told you he killed somebody.
Right, yeah.
You know? You go, oh, I don't judge.
Don't you-
Yes, you do.
Yeah,
You
we gotta do
not a
it.
bad thing.
Not a bad thing.
Yeah. Well, okay, so good. And you know, all of my shit's related. So what I want to talk about today also has a lot to do with judgment. They're all related. They're all connected. I tell you that every fucking time because they're my values and they're what I use to think, to make decisions, to take actions, and they're behind my thoughts always because these are included in my perspective. So when we do judge people, we use our own values. Everyone's got their own values. Because of that, everything is subjective. And on a much simpler level, some people want to think we all have a basic understanding of what's the difference between good and bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
I say no. I say we don't. My good and your good could be completely different. Your bad and my bad. So the point that I want to make right now is that even when it comes to simply what's good and what's bad, we all have our own values and we judge people by our own values. And so if we don't want to offend somebody, it's cool to be conscious and cognizant of their values. In other words, let me just take one simple value of mine, adult language. Now, I've used this sample lots of times, Dom. I'll say, hey, man, you're a great fucking guy, Dom. Why would you be offended with that, right? Why would you be offended? But certain people, they're like, why do people have to use adult language? I don't understand it. It's not that we have to. It's that we don't give a fuck. To us, they're just words, and we don't give them the power. Now, if I'm in a first grade classroom, I'm going to know that these kids and the teachers probably don't feel the same way that I do about using fuck in a sentence. And I'm going to be cognizant of that, and I'm going to not use it around them unless they may be in my house or something. There might be an exception. Hey, I dropped my lighter. Damn it. Hold on.
No problem.
Recovered. But for certain people, like that, for them, that's bad. Using adult language in their mind, they have it in their brain that tells them bad. No, shame. And so they'll say, I'm trying to cut down on swearing. When I met AJ Styles, he told me he doesn't use adult language. And I thought that's really interesting. And I respect that you have discipline and that you randomly chose to not say certain words. To me, that makes as much sense as saying I'm trying to not use words that have the letter W in them anymore.
Yeah.
To me, that's of equal value because, like I said, if I want to just add, a fucking adjective to make what I'm trying to say a little more fucking colorful, and it's not doing any damage except for only offending people that choose to be offended when they hear that, I'm okay with that. I don't feel like I'm doing anything bad. And to them, maybe I am. When you're a kid, swear words are bad. Hell, even on TV, you got all the censorship laws. You used to not be able to even swear before 8 o'clock when HBO first came on. And then that's always moving. It's always moving towards a more sensible place. Now you can see titties all day, everything on the movie channels. But there was something, censorship called the Willie Hayes was the guy way back when I first started making movies that started going through and saying, no, Jane Russell's nipples are too pointy. You have to cut this out of the movie. And it was like, at first it was ridiculous because at least now it seems ridiculous to my values. because a lot of the laws, including even selling real estate in Hollywood back then, was based on church rules, on Christian faith, and a lot of their behavior, expected behavior, rules of society, and even laws were based on that. So to me, yes, it seems ridiculous. A lot of people, would they think I'm a bad person because I use adult language? I'm an adult. If I'm speaking to an adult, fuck, I should be able to say whatever I want, shouldn't I? I mean, fuck, I don't want to offend anybody. But if I feel like I'm offending anybody, I have the power to stop. Point is, it's not a bad thing to me. Hopefully you get that. Some people think that's good. Some people think that's bad. Okay. How about smoking weed? To me, obviously, it's not a bad thing. We were taught it's a bad thing, and at least half of the population still thinks that smoking marijuana is bad. And we all got our vices. Heck, I like to smoke some cigarettes, or I like to fuck prostitutes when my wife's out of town. Whatever, dude. Like, you can compare things that you think are all bad, but I'm telling you, when Geraldo Rivera asked me back in the 90s, Rob, are you saying that smoking marijuana is good for you? Yes, I do say that. Not for everybody, but I happen to believe it's very beneficial and it can be used in a very productive manner, not to mention extend your fucking life expectancy. But for a lot of people, that would be like, hey, hush, hush. There's a tongue-in-cheek kind of thing where certain things might be bad, but we all do it, so shh, we just don't talk about it. That's how society works. I call it good old boys philosophy, just you never separate a man and his beer. He does like his beer. For some reason, that's something that became a good old boys thing. Bobby Duncum Jr. was, one of my best friends, and he was an alcoholic, and he loved beer. But he would talk about it. He was from Texas, and he would let you know, brother, I'm from Texas. But it was always like, hey, just don't come between me and my beer. And that became an acceptable thing in culture. You can see it on T-shirts, whatever. Why? Because they get high off of it. That's why men like beer, because it's a legal way to get high. They call it spirits because it lifts your fucking spirit up. And certain people think it's bad. I mean, it does cause over 400,000 deaths a year in the United States, auto accidents, violent crimes. But I'm not saying that I think it's a bad thing, but I'm thinking that the tongue-in-cheek humor, of like, well, he's a good guy. He does like to tie one on after 9 o'clock at night. It's like, dude, why not be just out in the open? How about porn? Porn is something that a lot of people think is bad and a lot of people think is good. Normal people, they're not going to be comfortable talking about that. They're not going to want to bring it up, and they're not going to be able to. They don't want you to know anything about it. They're not going to be able to point out their favorite starlets and say, "Oh my God, I'm a big fan of whoever." But you talk to people in the adult entertainment industry, they don't think it's bad. They'll come right out and say, oh, hey, do you do content with other girls? Oh, cool. How do you feel about anal? Oh, okay, great. Here's my card. To them, it's like nothing because they're in their own world. But then you go to the mainstream and you talk about stuff like that, and then it's like, guys don't even want their wives to imagine that they looked in the direction of a girl with their boobs hanging out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I saw you staring at that. What? I did not. I didn't even notice it. And it's like, it's a fake good old boy world that's just normal to society. That's what makes us Americans. We like our beer. It's weird when you're a really open, honest, transparent person. And I'm not saying that I need all of my deepest secrets out there for everyone to know, like everything that's good and everything that's bad about me. But I'll probably like let you know anyway, because I always throw my shit out there and talk about it because I'm transparent and I like to be judged by who I really am. So, you know, girls, you know, like it's like that's another thing that like it's weird how in society it's like cheating is has been acceptable by men. In Japan, I was told it's okay as long as a man isn't in love. He can have like see a girl on the way home at the prostitute or whatever on his way home, and the wife's just supposed to stay home and cook and whatever, and it's okay if he's not in love. Of course, it was Sabu that told me that, so I don't know if it's true, but certain cultures I know are definitely more like that, and I know a lot of men that pretend they're in those cultures, but their women don't know the men. If they knew, they'd be in a lot of trouble and be pissed. But that's one of those things where guys can always, you know, seems to be normal to be like, well, I may not have always been the best husband, but I treat her all right, you know? And it's like, that just seems to be like they're like this position, this thing to strive for, you know, hate on pot, but alcohol's super cool. You know, cheating and being unfaithful and being dishonest, those are all cool as long as you're a man. You know, it's one of those things where for me, I feel like you got to be reprogrammed when you're an adult. And a lot of adults, the basic thinkers, end up in this middle America cultural accepted stage where it's like, well, I'm a man. I just want my TV remote in one hand and a beer in the other. And if that's you, good for you. But I'm saying when it comes to the basic concepts of what's good and what's bad, we're not all the same. Some of you people listening to this, where you're at, racism is good. The people that you hang out with think it's a good idea to get together and to hate on people of other races. That's not good to me. To me, that's a bad thing. So judge me for marijuana, you're a racist. Everybody has their own values and their own even ideas of what's good and what's bad. Now, most people will tell you, well, you shouldn't murder people, but guess what? How many people are going to say, well, I know if I catch someone at home in bed with my wife, I know I'm going to shoot him. Well, okay, I mean, that's a homicide. It might be justifiable. I don't know. But there's always variances. There's no absolutes. And when you just assume that it's everyone's going to know this is good and that's bad, I think that you're thinking with a closed mind. I've had people speak for me and say, you know, Rob, yeah, you know, he's apologized because he made some mistakes, like when he got busted with the marijuana, you know, he's tried to pay society back. Like, what? Stop. Where did you get that from? Like, I did not do any of that. But they just think it's good, so they're helping me out by speaking for me. And in that case, no, I don't need that kind of shit, you know? And sometimes we try to predetermine how the other person is going to be judging us on whether it's good or bad. And then it keeps us from being able to even explain what we want to explain and word things the way that we really want to, because we're already adjusting the narrative and candy coating it in the way that we think it's going to be accepted the best way, you know. You know, is it cool if she comes over tonight? Because I'm not going to see her for, you know, the rest of the week. Like, you didn't even have to add that last part on there. Sure, bring her over. But you add that part because all of a sudden you're afraid I'm going to be judged and be like, why she got to be over? And I'm not even thinking that. But we do that. We try to determine how our questions or thoughts are going to be received by the other person. And again, that is part of being cognizant to not swear in front of kids or offend somebody intentionally. But at the same time, we just got to know that deep inside, it's okay if we're okay with the choices we make, even if other people aren't okay with the same damn choices and try to shame us based on their values. We're not trying to be them. It's okay to tell them, I ain't trying to be you, man. I'm just me. And as far as that goes, do your good and do your best.
I like it. Heck yeah, Rob. I didn't know you were friends with Bobby Duncum Jr. either. I didn't know that.
One of my best bros. He was one of those dudes that would stay at my house when he was in town and shit. Good guy. Yeah, that hurt really bad. One day, he called and I could just tell he was so fucked up, you know. And he was like, Van Dam. He goes, we got to be careful. He goes, Albright just died. Talking about Gary Albright. He was in our clique in Japan. I go, I know, man, that sucks. He goes, we gotta be careful, man. They're fucking trying to get us. And I was like, okay, Bobby, you be careful, because I could tell he was fucked up.
Yeah.
Last time I talked to him.
Wow, really?
Yeah. Week or two later, it seems like he fucking OD'd.
My gosh. I remember too. I was like, man, he just had a presence about him too on television and everything like that. And then, like, it was just obviously cut short. It's just, but definitely, yeah, something to very much keep in mind.
I have some Bobby Duncum stories, but you know the thing, I met his son one time. We were in Austin, Texas. His son, Austin, because I know his daughter really well, Cassie. But Austin was coming to the arena. I was there with WWE, I believe. And he wanted to hear some stories about Bobby. And, you know, I got with him and I met with him. I couldn't think of one damn story that was appropriate to tell a kid.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was just like, no, not that one. No. Well, Bobby liked to drink a lot, you see. He really liked to drink. That was all I could do. I felt so bad, but every story I could think of was like inappropriate. Yeah.
We played Fire Pro Wrestling in the van together.
I think so. I think I'm almost positive that he did.
Oh, really?
I don't know that he had a character on there though, but he was in the Winnebago with us for sure.
No shit. How about that?
Yep. Yeah, because he was in the Sabu clique. So.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool.
Me and Sabu and Louis Spicoli were the three that were the mainstays that would ride with Sabu and his wife in the Winnebago, and then Pee Wee the referee, and then everyone else was like cool, but another layer out, not necessarily in the clique, you know.
Is that Pee Wee Anderson you're talking about?
No, John Pee Wee Moore. John Pee Wee Moore. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I would just want to make sure. All right. Wow. Yeah. See, I would have never, if somebody put those two names, RVD and Bobby Duncum Jr., I would have thought you guys never crossed paths.
Yep, All Japan. He came out his first match in Japan. He wrestled Johnny Ace, and Johnny broke his nose. And I don't know how in the daytime or the arena or whatever, I clicked with him somehow well enough for him to feel like knocking on my door in the middle of the night and waking me up at the hotel. And he came in and he's like, what are you doing? Come on, let's go. And I was like, oh, Bobby, I need some sleep. You know, come on, man, let's party. And he's drinking and he would sit down and then knock everything off of my nightstand, the phone and everything, knock it all off. Oh, shit, spill his beer everywhere. And then they broke my nose. I said, I know, man. He goes, they can't stop me. They break my nose. They can break my back. I'm like, brother, I'm from Texas. You know, I'm not going to stop. There ain't no point. Hey, man, come on, let's go. I was like, Bobby, you know, go see if there's somebody else, man. I'm just going to finally he would give up and he would leave. And then 15, 20 minutes later, he'd knock on the door and do the exact same thing again. It seemed like it happened 4 times in the first night. Everything. He would knock the phone and everything off every single time. Go through the same thing like deja vu. Come on, let's go, man.
Let me go.
Yeah.
Let me get some sleep.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. It's been a great episode. Man, it's been a fun one. Looking forward to seeing you on Dynamite this coming week and everything like that. I do want to ask, do you have a
Yeah, looking forward to that. Wednesday, I'll be on fucking Dynamite. This could be my 3rd match. I'm trying to get some W's to make up for that debut with Jungle Boy. till I get him in the ring again.
Get
But
that resume building up on AEW there.
fucking A, man, I'm stoked, looking forward to it. And each time I go, seems like the fans know a little bit more what to expect from me. So that's good as far as just universal momentum goes. I don't have as much pushback as I was getting before the first one. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Try not to pay attention to that, but when it's there, there's a current of energy going against you, and everything else is going with you. You notice it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. But hey, yeah, I mean, like it's always good to have a chip on your shoulder about it too, and be like, well, you know what? I'm gonna just prove those haters wrong about it all. So
right, and I have, and I will continue to do so. Hey, little piece of trivia. I bet maybe even YouTube Chris might not know this one, but he might. You might know this, YouTube Chris. 97 or 98. I think it was 97. Could have been 98. Definitely could have been 98. I thought I was indestructible. I didn't think I could get hurt. You know what I mean? I would dive from the ring to the floor and not even care if you didn't catch me, and I'd just land on my fucking back or head and be like, I can take it. I'm not going to get hurt. You know what I mean? I'm out here to show that I'm indestructible. And that was my mindset. And, I stretched for like an hour before every match. If you ask other wrestlers, they'll tell you I'm the only one that's done that my whole career. And it makes me just feel like I'm at my best and like I'm indestructible. Had an ECW match in Orlando, and I was wrestling Rhino. But all of a sudden, on the way there, my travel is changed because Bobby Duncum Jr. died. And I got to stop at his funeral now on my way to Orlando. And it fucked me up because somehow through that travel, I got to the building really late in Orlando. And I didn't have time to do my stretch. And it's the only time that I've gone out there and had the match without doing my stretch. There's been times where I had to go through it quickly in 20 minutes instead of 45 or 60 minutes. But this time, man, I didn't have time. I had to put the boots on, boom, 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 get out there. And that's when I found out I wasn't indestructible, because that's when I broke my ankle in that match with Rhino in Orlando. And I'll always blame it on Bobby Duncum passing away.
Wow. How about that?
Yeah.
Jeez.
I think if I would have got my stretch on, I would have just rolled right through that match. I believe that.
Yeah, right? That had to have thrown you off. I would think so,
Jeez. My routine. It's my process. Yeah. But, there's other reasons to be mad at Bobby passing away. So, that's just part of it. But he left a great family behind, and his daughter just got engaged or married. I think she got married, engaged, maybe married. I don't know. It's just, anyway, I remained close to the family because I was close to Bobby, and that's what you do, at least used to.
Yeah, it's cool you're able to keep that connection going too. It takes work, but it's I think it pays off when you do that stuff too, and I'm sure When
you lose somebody that's really close to you, the best thing seems to me to be around other people that love that person too, and to grieve with them and share those vibes with them. So that's how usually you end up becoming part of the family like that.
Absolutely. That's cool, Rob. That's really cool. Well, cool. Next week we'll look forward to doing this again. Or do you have a new singlet for coming up? Or
I don't have a new singlet, and I meant to call Joe Holland, which I didn't. But I think I have one or maybe even two that people haven't seen. I've either not worn them or I've only worn them on a non-televised show in the last few months or something. So I'm going to be looking to, grab something that I haven't worn yet that's still new.
Nice. Well, yeah, people see something different.
I won't be opening up a new package tonight, if that's the question.
That's it. Guys, you'll have to unbox something else on your own. So sorry.
Got to keep people guessing, man. We can't fall into routine shit like that.
Right? Exactly. Keep you on the toes. That's what we do here. Yeah. So cool. Anything else you want to plug before we Rob?
No, dude. We'll see you back here next week. Be good on your own terms.
I like it. I like it. And hey, if you want to be good to us, give us a 5-star review up on iTunes or Spotify. That'll help us a lot. I always forget to plug that stuff, so just do that. Follow Rob at The Real RVD. Follow me at Dominic D'Angelo. Go to RVD Pod for your YouTube clips and all that malarkey. YouTube Chris does a great job. And yeah, if you want to check out full episodes, you can do it on YouTube as well. You can also do it on Rumble. We have a Rumble thing, so do that. That's about it. So cool. Rob, it'll be fun to see you next week. So have a good time. And we'll see you guys next week here on One of a Kind with RVD.